Hey, we are back on the Silverfox Hustle podcast, and what do you know? We are soon approaching episode number 50, and very, very happy for that. And you know the drill. At the end of the podcast, if you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please follow us on Spotify, Apple, Google, everywhere actually. And then, of course, if you are on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel as well, so follow us there. Now we have, as usual, great guest on the show again. She is the one and only woman to have won the Coach of the Year award at the Singapore Sports Awards in 2020, and since its inception in 1970, I think she is the first woman to actually won it. Absolutely brilliant. She is the coach of she was the coach of the national women's floorball team from 2017 to 2019. Had a spell, of course, before that as assistant coach. Now, in that time, the floorball team, the women's team, won the Oceania Floorball Confederation Cup, retained the SEA Games gold in 2019, and clinched the best ever showing till date at the World Cup 12th. She was also a national floorball player from 2000 and 2011. She is currently a senior manager at Sports SG at the Singapore Sports Institute. Welcome to the Silverfox Hustle podcast, Ms. Louise.
Hi, Shasi. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How have you been?
Good.
Yeah.
Despite being COVID times,
Yeah.
we are still working, whether it's at home or just minimal time in the office. Yeah, we're all doing good.
Tell me exactly what you do at the SSI.
I'm in the division that is called Coach SG.
Yeah.
So we oversee the coaches all over in Singapore.
Yeah.
Sports coaches. So particularly the team that I'm in, we do curriculum development, or what we call as coaching development. We work with NSAs for their technical curriculum, even like the SG coach theory and so on and so forth. And it's actually more things behind this, but this is just the crux of what we do.
Is that really up your alley? Because as a coach, obviously way before that, as a player, you do lots of planning, or as a coach, right? So right now, is it right up at your alley where you think that maybe this is the path, the right path?
Well, I got a degree in sports coaching. Yeah. Which I attained it in Australia. So I think with my sporting background, especially with the qualifications that I have, I really never saw myself doing anything else other than sports.
Yeah.
And particularly coaching, because I enjoyed working with youth or even individuals and coaching them in a sport that I enjoyed for those number of years. So I thought it resonated with me, and then being an educator for 10 years in the tertiary institutions. I sort of like have some pedagogical thing going.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of things.
Okay. Now let's talk about floorball, right? Some time back, obviously, when you were growing up. How did you pick up the sport?
Well, that was I picked it up really, really very late.
Late?
As compared to what we see now.
How late?
How late? When I was like 17.
Oh, that's pretty late actually.
Yeah, so I picked it up when I was 17 in late 2000 or early 2000s.
Okay.
And how I chanced upon this was when my polytechnic classmates, they came to school carrying their floorball stick bags, and we were like, what's that?
Yeah.
And they started to share with us and teach us how to play. And as cliche as it sounds, the rest is history lah. So
wait, let me get this straight, right? 2017, when you were 17 years old, you picked up the sport.
Yes.
Is it right? Because I read it somewhere that you were in the national team from when you were 18 years old.
Yes. So at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So at that time, floorball was really just starting out.
In Singapore.
Yes,
in
that's
Singapore,
right.
Yeah.
So I would say that I belong to the second group of pioneers.
Okay.
The one after the pioneers.
Right.
And because of the number of floorball players that were in Singapore at that time, you would say maybe it was easier to get into the national team if you were a hardworking player, because the physical demands of the game is that it's pretty much that whole rink, and then you run until your lungs want to collapse, or sprint, and basically working hard on court for your physical capabilities, and then the skills came progressively along with it.
No, there's two things I picked up. Number one, you probably being humble, as in like you said, it was easier then because the sport just started out here in Singapore. But come on, 17 years old, you started like you picked up your first floorball stick, and then you got into the national team. That's one. And number two, I picked up was you talk about being hardworking, because that is probably one of the fundamentals, right? Did that is that one of the qualities that made you shine as a player maybe, and then of course as a coach, because that is that one of your motto?
Uh, Shine. I wouldn't use the word shine, but I guess in a team sports, you must remember that you're not the only one that is there and helping the team try to score goals, right? So
Yeah.
you have to put in your part.
Right.
Everybody feeds on each other's energy, so we are motivated to be as equally as hardworking as the player that's next to us.
Right.
So I guess that is a type of characteristic that most team sports players would have.
Yeah.
The resilience that they
Right.
would not give up until the final whistle.
Right. So you started at 17 and you played for your school team, obviously, and then any clubs? Obviously, you played for clubs, right? So you, like I said, right? You started so late, 17, and let's stop. We can't even talk about primary school and secondary school. It's from polytechnic onwards, right? So which clubs did you play for?
I started out playing with this club, Musettes,
Mm.
in the whole entire Moose families, because there were Moose men, Moose boys.
Right.
Yeah, so started out with Musettes, and then I actually stayed with the club for a long period of time.
Okay.
But we changed names because we had sponsors coming in.
Right.
So yeah, I played for that
Mm.
club for most of my playing career, lah,
Right,
if you want
right.
to say that.
Yeah. And let's go back a little bit and talk about floorball itself. The game itself, the demands and what have you, right? It obviously originated from Sweden, right? What are the demands of the sport? You said about being hardworking and stuff, and the skill set that you need to excel in the sport.
Well, floorball, it's 3 by 20 minutes, and it's a rolling substitution, so it's pretty much like ice hockey. You see
Yeah.
people coming in and out. And when there's effective time, the ball goes out, the foul is called. Yeah, the time basically stops. So
Right.
you have to. So the time is only running when the ball's in play. And every time that we're on court, the maximum amount of time you stay in there or on court, it's about a minute, a minute and a half. So within that a minute and a half, whether you're in the defensive positioning or you're in the mode of attacking, you have to always be ready to receive the ball, ready to be quick to defend. So that's why the physical demands of the game is such that if there is a little bit of less control in the game, you end up doing a lot of shuttle runs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Understand.
So that's where the physical demands come.
Right.
But also to reduce that amount of shuttle runs, that the tactical and play comes into the picture.
Yeah.
Where you are able to understand the play a lot better, to deliver the balls, to execute the shots when you really need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's along those lines, lah.
Right. Now, physically, I think that can be worked on. I think like all coaches know, right? You do your physical drills and what have you. Now, technically, what do you exactly need? Like that's important, right? You can talk about physical fitness and what have you all day long, but technically, if you're not good enough, then it's tough, right? It's tough to keep up, especially when you go up to a higher level, right? So technically, what do you need?
Technically, I think in addition to what the coaches give us during the training sessions, everyone has the onus and accountability to improve yourself. So whether is it you do 1,000 dribbles a day, I'm just exaggerating.
Yeah.
Whether is it you do 1,000 dribbles a day, different types of dribbles, shooting against the wall, passing against the wall, or even like calling down friends to have play time. It does help, and as well as watching videos. Now YouTube is like everywhere. I mean, it's so easily accessible.
Right.
So the current players these days, they just refer to YouTube, and then there's a lot of live streaming of international league games, like Sweden, Finland. They all have their league games, and it's broadcasted. So yeah, I guess that is another way of improving themselves.
Yeah.
The other would mean that whether is it the coaches record the training sessions and the players go back and they analyze it themselves and try to figure out how and where they could have done better.
Yeah.
That's another way of improving tactical awareness.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Now, let's talk about the game here in Singapore. How big is it now, right now, as compared to when you started out in, which year was this?
2000.
2000, yeah. How big is it now compared to then?
It's very heartening to see that every corner I turn sometimes along the road, or in the MRTs, trains or buses, I see kids, school kids, carrying the floorball sticks, whether it's in a stick bag, or in just walking around the stick, walking to the train station, knowing that I know you're going for training. Yeah, so it's very heartening to see that, and it definitely has expanded and I wouldn't even use the word exploded, but it's widely played now in a lot of schools. Even I can guarantee you that all the tertiary institutions are playing.
Yeah,
that's one thing, and it's really coming up a lot more in the other areas like the primary, secondary schools.
Yeah. Do you think there's enough schools right now to actually get that pool? Obviously, like you talk about national teams and stuff like that. Do you need a bigger pool? So do you think right now is it big enough, or you need it to be?
It's good to have more, so that you have a wider net to cast, and you never know when you will be able to find a hidden talent somewhere. So that can help in the development of national teams. So whether is it like the youth teams, that we have more youth teams that are available for players to participate, and then progress on to the national team. So it's always good to have a wider pool.
I want to talk about, I think you're the right person to speak to, right? Because you played the game, you played at for the national team, and obviously you coached the national team, and then you coached them at the World Cup, right? I mean, what is there, right? Pinnacle World Cup. Compare the differences, right, in terms of our local players to, let's say, who's the world number one, by the way? I'm a dummy.
Sweden.
Sweden.
For female,
yeah. So, how can you, or how do we compare, right? Technically, how can we compare them?
Wow. Okay. So the Scandinavian players, they start off really young.
How young is young? Not 17, eh?
No. That's not young anymore, man. I'm not quite sure, but probably from 6 onwards.
Okay.
Where they have some form of introduction to the game, and then they start to participate in leagues, youth leagues at 10 onwards. So they have various age groups that they participate and hone their skills. So comparing that, it's hard to compare because of whatever other demands that we have here in Singapore. So whether is it about school or work.
Okay, let's take that away.
Yeah.
Let's say when you were coaching them at the World Cup, what was the difference? It's clear, it's quite clear, right? So what were the main differences that you see that we need to probably, if we increase by 20-30%, we can at least compete, top 10, slowly, bridging the gap?
I would say that an even better understanding of the game.
Tactically? You mean tactically?
Increased tactical awareness. I mean, everybody already has some form of tactical awareness, like where to go, what to do in certain situations. But I guess we have to be more. We have to make quicker decisions. In that sense that may come second nature to you, like even faster in a split second. Yeah. So, I mean, that's on my own personal view.
Does experience help then? Because you faced the different situations you can face, right? And of course, it's very complex. It's changing all the time. Situations change in floorball, in football. It changes all the time. So you can't just pick a situation and say, okay, this is going to happen and this is going to, because it changes like in a split second, right? So does that come with experience then? Because nothing's going to, beat that, right? Experience.
Yeah, so experience really plays a very, very big part when you play at the international level. Because you have already gone through playing several international competitions with various kinds of opponents. You can gauge, or you are more aware of what sort of play each different country has, or what their strengths are. So experience does play a part on, like, do I slow the game down? Do I counterattack at this point in time? So on and so forth. Yes,
it's very, very important, especially obviously in starting the game very young. Like 6, like you said. And I think we need to get that. I think that's probably it for all sports. Start them young. If not, then it's going to waste. What do you think, in your opinion, are our main strengths in terms of our playing skills and what have you? What are our local players' strengths?
They are resilient.
That probably came from you.
No. It's innate, I think.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and like I said, it feeds off everybody's energy. So I would say that they are very resilient and they are really very hard workers.
Okay.
It's really those two words that I really cannot think of anything else.
Yeah.
And they put a lot of heart into what they do.
Right.
So that's why one of my players actually said it's hard work rather than hard work.
Nice.
Or it can be both together.
Right.
So yeah, we always make sure that we put heart into what we do. So whether is it the basic stuff, or is it off court things that help the team, it's really how much effort and heart that we put into it to make it even better for us.
Right. You know when I'm coaching kids sometimes and you talk about the youth levels and stuff like that, I always say this, right? Have a little bit of pride when you do something. It's not like you do a drill and then you make a mistake and then you laugh about it and things like that. It gets to me, it gets to my head, when I'm coaching. Have a little bit of pride. If you make a mistake, be that kind of thing. And it's very important when we talk about heart and stuff like that. How about our weakness? If you can think of, I'm sure you can think of a lot, right? Just a few that you think that we need to work on, and your frank opinion.
I would say they have to be more calm.
Right.
And they can be even more confident when they have the ball.
Okay.
So it's about being calm in those various situations that suddenly you're flustered and like, oh man, I haven't done this before, or
right.
alamak, how come like that?
Yes.
Right. So it's about remaining calm under all kinds of certain situations.
Yeah.
And having more confidence with the ball.
Okay.
Because sometimes they receive the ball and they're like, okay, I need to get rid of it because it's like a ticking time bomb or something. Right. So it's all about embracing the challenges that come along with it. So whether is it a physical challenge or like a mental challenge, when you see your opponents coming towards you, how will you be able to react with the decision making that you have that comes with you being calm and confident.
This is exactly like football. If you can ask anybody, like obviously a team sport, and then we got possession on the ball, or defensively you don't have the ball, and in transition when you win the ball, what do you do, and when you lose the ball, what do you do, right? That kind of thing, right? It's exactly like football, And you talk about in possession, what do you do with the ball? It's the same with football. Some kids like to. It's like a bomb to them, right? Get the ball, whack it away. Clear the ball or something like that. So it's exactly the same. Coaches. Are there enough, do you think, in Singapore right now, in terms of coaches? And when I say coaches, quality coaches, not,
Definitely it would be helpful to have more coaches. And whether we have a large amount of coaches, I reckon that it would mean how do we help these coaches develop their coaching skills? Whether is it about the sport itself, or is it about the other aspects of coaching, pedagogical approaches, designing their drills, better understanding different kinds of tactics, because we may have learned one or two from our previous coaches and we applied it, but maybe it doesn't really work for my team in these kind of situations. So while we may have coaches, but I guess in terms of quality, there's always room for improvement in terms of providing them with the different avenues to enhance their skills.
I really like what you said in terms of transferring what they've learned from a previous coach and then using those same drills perhaps for the next group of boys that they're coaching, or the next group of girls that they're coaching. It's true. So many people out there, as a player, they get coached and then they use those same drills, and it's not about that really. It's about what you want in terms of objective of the training session, and you can't just use the same drill. You can use the same drill but use it in a different way. So we need people who need to think about what they're doing exactly, and that's where I think quality comes in. Now at the moment, like the coaching licenses for the floorball, how do they get their certification done? Is it by the NSA, or how does this go?
So for the theory and sports science aspect, it's from us in some way. There's the qualifications.
Right.
At Sport Singapore.
Yeah.
But in terms of the technical knowledge.
Yeah.
It's from the NSA themselves.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So they've got like an instructor.
Yes.
A couple of instructors, or just
A couple of instructors.
Right,
Yes.
right,
They
right.
do to conduct all these
okay,
sessions for them.
nice. Now I want to ask you this question, which could be a little sensitive, but you know, it's out there, and people may know, may not know. We've talked about coaches and stuff like that, and I think they are one of the most important elements to get everything done, growing. And when I say coaches, I truly say quality coaches, right? It's not anyone in the keyboard warriors who wants to be a coach, right? We have a million of coaches out there. You know it and I know it. Are coaches at the moment for floorball being paid enough? What is the rate like? Okay, let's say I'm taking a 1.5 hour session for a school, for example. Let's start off with a school. How does that work?
I'm not quite sure what the market rate
Okay.
is like now because
Right.
I haven't been in that school coaching
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
But it does come with the fees do come with the experience, I guess,
yeah.
and probably prior achievements
Okay.
that coaches have attained with other institutions.
Right.
To get their final fee amount, I reckon.
Mm.
Yeah, but I can't really comment about how much they're really being paid
Right, right.
at this point in time.
How about volunteer coaches? We know about volunteer coaches everywhere, right? And same with every sport. And how about your sport? And seriously, and this is nothing to do with you. This is my opinion, and I'll put it out there in this podcast, out on YouTube as well. Now, you got to be paid, especially if you are taking a club team. If you're taking a school team, you got to be paid. Simple as that. There's no such thing as being a volunteer and that's from me, right? What do you think about that? Because I think it's important, you know, and we need to support our coaches. That's the most important thing. It's not about you. It's not about me, right? So what do you think about that, Louise?
Of course, it's good to be remunerated for your efforts. For sure, it's like going to work and not being paid. That doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I would think that most of us have been volunteer coaches for most of our lives.
When you say most of us means
Okay, maybe it's just me. But I do know of other coaches who have been volunteering to coach.
Is that a decision that you made?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I got to take my hats off to you, but yeah, so yeah, please.
Yeah, so I would. Passion, they say, is overrated, but passion is really what will fuel you to want to continue with, in whatever aspect you choose in the sport.
Yeah.
Right, in that sense. So, yeah, I was a volunteer coach for a pretty long time. Even with the national team, I was a volunteer coach.
When you clinched 12th position.
Yes.
Okay.
When I
Right.
did what I did for those few years,
Right.
I was a volunteer coach,
Okay.
and as with the rest of my coaching team, they were also volunteers.
Yeah.
As well. So it's really about like I said, the heart that we really have, and what we really want to achieve with the team.
Yeah.
That have made us pull through all the tough times, those number of years that we spent together.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, Louise, this is really unheard of, and I really got to take my hats off to you, and true respect to you and your team as well, and even the girls, right, who played with you, and the team behind the team. I got to take my hats off to you. It's absolutely brilliant, you know, and it's unheard of. And moving forward, right, pay the coaches. Louise, you as a player, right? You played as a defender, am I right?
I've tried all positions except goalkeeper.
Okay, but what was your main like your favorite or your strength in terms of position wise?
Wow. Well, I started out as a forward.
Okay.
And then I moved back to playing a defender, and then I became a center.
Right.
So, it's tough. Okay, like forwards are really running like mad sometimes.
Okay, so what's your favorite position?
I would say maybe playing as a. It's a tough call between center and defender.
Right.
Yeah, because being a defender helps you oversee the whole entire play, and helps you to be more tactically aware of when do you initiate certain movements, or how do you initiate certain plays.
Right.
Yeah, but as a center, you are able to be one step ahead of the defenders, and you can support the attack nearer. Although although floorball is basically you can play, you should be able to understand every position.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is it's a tough call between
Right.
defender and center.
And you know, tactically, like you said about being a defender or central defender, you're right, right? Even in football, right, you can see the whole picture from the back, and tactically, you need to be very good at that as well. What do you think, or would you say, were your strengths as a player?
Wow, that's tough. Okay. Maybe I really don't know, but maybe it's able to read the play a little bit better.
The reading of the game.
Yeah, I mean it really came with a lot of playing experience.
Yeah.
Figuring out things during training sessions.
Yeah.
So it's really and given the opportunity to play all different positions, right?
Yeah.
It helps me have a better idea of how I should play as a defender, so that the forwards can get the ball, or so on and so forth. So I would say maybe my game reading got a little bit better, or it's the better of the lot.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Do you think that all this thinking, because I think you think as you are playing, and you are one of the thinkers in the team, I would say, right? Did that help you progress as a coach? Do you think that was one of the qualities? I think that could be it.
Sort of. So, in addition to just playing all the positions previously and understanding how each one works, I wanted to bring that into my coaching,
right,
to help players see that there's more than just playing your position. You know, that there's every other position that you need to consider. So sometimes during training we will take for fun.
Yeah.
Forwards play defenders, defenders play forwards, and then so that they know that next time I cannot really pump the ball.
Yeah.
So erratically or like whatever, because now the defenders are the ones running for the ball because they're playing forward. So it does, it has helped in that sense, and helping the players understand that if you're in another position other than where you usually are, this is how you should react, or this is how you should support the play.
Nice. You were a national player since 18, right? How was your experience playing in tournaments and stuff like that? How was it?
I won't lie to say it was nerve-wracking.
Okay.
Because it's like flag on the chest.
Yeah.
And you're really like playing with the best of the best from anywhere and everywhere. If sometimes you play the same players for those few years because everyone's in the national team. But when given an opportunity to play with even bigger teams, like there was one World Championships where we played against Sweden, and it was wow. Barely crossed the half court because they were just too good, and
you're chasing shadows.
Yeah, basically that, and trying to cut off all the passes so that they reduce the number of goals that go into our net. So nerve-wracking is really one, and but then comes to like, how do you say, you have to really calm yourself down. So it's internalizing all your thoughts and emotions, and knowing that you have your teammates who have your back, and you have your teammates back really helps in playing at the international level.
Nice. Any difference between players then and now?
For sure.
How much of it? In terms of what?
In terms of skills.
Okay.
So
they've gotten better.
Definitely, they've gotten better. They're more technically sound, right? Because I'm not sure if it comes with starting younger,
right?
But being technically more sound is what is the difference between then and now.
Right.
Game awareness, we learn when there's experience, but in terms of technical skills, they're better lah, basically.
Nice. How did the progression to become a coach happen for you? Like while you were playing, did you take the certs and stuff like that?
So I started coaching when I just finished poly. So, and then I worked.
Okay.
And then I worked for my floorball coach, and then I was sent out to do coaching.
Pretty early as well, right?
Early 20s.
Yeah.
Right. So I was coaching kids that were starting out playing floorball, like schools wants introductory programs.
Yes.
And then I was given an opportunity to coach a school at a national tournament then. So, but there was like fewer schools participating.
Right.
And I enjoyed sharing floorball with all these groups of individuals. So whether it's being adults or primary school kids,
Right.
it was fun.
Yeah.
Though eventually it got stressful
Yeah, I can
because
understand. Yeah.
because of the different levels of competitions that
Right.
we do.
Right.
And then I went to Australia
Yeah.
to get my degree in sports coaching. And over there I played with the other Aussie national players.
Yeah.
Because floorball is not very big in Australia in the different states.
Yeah.
So I gained a lot of experience from them as well.
Yeah.
And I also managed to find some youth team to coach at a tournament, local tournament.
How was that experience?
Well, you know, Aussie kids are very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
So I coached boys.
Yeah.
17, 18-year-old boys.
Yeah.
And actually some of them now are national team players for Aussie.
They're the Victorian under 17s, right?
Yes, at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of them are in the national team
right
for
now.
Australia
Wow,
now.
Nice.
It was fun coaching them, and I guess Australia, coming from a very sports cultured background, they play everything and anything, foodie lah, you know, anything.
Yes.
So their game awareness, you don't really need to teach game awareness that much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just helping them build on their shots, their passes.
Right.
But otherwise, they are quite technically sound
Yeah.
in the sense that you don't have to tell them to run there and there and there.
Yeah.
Because they have already been exposed to other sports. So it makes it easier to coach them.
And it's good that you've taken like the kids in Singapore, obviously in the schools, and then of course overseas as well. You started out like that and coaching the different people, different cultures as well. You know, they react to you differently from what we do here, right? So it's good. Would you say that was a good learning curve for you to actually take the step up if needed?
In a certain way,
yeah,
because when I was coaching the Aussie boys at a local competition, it was against the other states.
Yeah.
So, you get to learn how to react during games or how to change tactical, make different tactical decisions.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, I forgot which year, and then I started when I finished my studies, I came back and I started coaching a tertiary team.
Okay.
This guys team for 4 leagues.
Okay.
4 seasons in the
NTU.
Floorball League. Yes. Yeah. So I coached them, the boys, for those 4 to 5 years.
Yes.
Starting from Division 4.
Okay.
And then eventually moving up all the way until they got promoted to Division 1.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, but then after that I was like, okay, thanks guys.
Why?
I was coaching voluntarily
Again.
and I was working and I was still playing local and international, so it was pretty tiring.
Okay.
That was really tiring.
So you were the head coach for the NTU boys team, right?
Only
team.
the league team. Yeah, I didn't coach the school team.
Right. Listen, I can't wrap my head around this volunteer thing until now. Like how do you like get the job in the first place? Who approached you to get the job and then say, okay, you're in this for free? Like how does this work?
I think some of the boys, they approached me and asked me whether I wanted to coach them. Then
Okay.
I said, okay, sure, why not? And then I just coached.
And there was no organization or no management who says that, okay, we're gonna pay you, like I don't know.
No, not really.
Wow,
So
okay.
we just managed to get NTU courts to play and train.
Yeah.
And then we just go for games over the weekend. So
Right.
it's that's pretty much it lah.
Right. And did it ever cross your mind along the way, right? Like, I don't know, a good 5 years of coaching or whatever. I want to go further. I want to probably be the coach of the national team. Did it ever occur in your head, in your mind?
No.
At all? Zero?
Zero.
No goal at all to be there at least maybe
No.
in 10 years' time? No?
No.
At all?
Yeah, none.
Wow. And okay, like during this time of coaching and stuff like that, right? I mean, learning the ropes on the job, especially on the job. What is the are the most important things that you picked up as a coach?
Being receptive to feedback.
Okay.
And willingness to learn.
Right.
I mean, this is just the soft skills.
Yeah.
That I think every coach should have.
Feedback from?
Feedback. So I worked with or I was fortunate to be able to have a Finnish coach to help us in the national team for the 3 years. So I learned really a lot from him and his other Finnish coaches who also offered their help to us. And yeah, it's amazing how fast he's able to read the play and change the tactics like then. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something that I really need to, and then it's not just about learning from them the types of drills, how they design the drills and stuff, but the approach they have towards training. They always instill some form of fun in training, and the drills that are designed or training session is when you need to go for high intensity. It's just short bursts of drills that are really high intensity, and then thereafter you just play a game and then that's it, you're done for the day. Right? You just need to ensure that they are playing at the correct intensity that is required. So all these things I've observed and I learned from them. And then they do give me some feedback about, hey, maybe you need to design this drill this way. How about trying this strategy instead? So because I really wanted to learn from them. It became you won't know until you try. Right. So if you try and it doesn't work, then at least you tried. Right. Rather than no, you are not a risk taker, and then like, okay, no one now, it's okay. Right. So it's about being receptive to feedback and willingness to learn.
I like what you said about the short intensity thing, because so often and not, right, and when we first started out way back as coaches and all, we thought longer was better, right? And I'm sure you get that as well. You see this live, even now, in this day and age, people think that longer means it's better. Or if you lose a game today, the next day you're going to get hammered for 2 hours, right? It doesn't happen, because, come on, sports science has evolved like from don't know which year, right? And we are still living in this backward stuff, and it's all about the objectives. Like, for example, the objective today is short and sharp. So get that. Once that has been met, then you're done for the day, right? And it's a very good point that you came up with, especially for coaches. Very important. Now, the national assistant team coach. You were the assistant from 2016 and 2017, just about a year or so, or less than a year.
From about like September 2016 till June 2017.
You were approached by the NSA, or how did this thing happen?
To be an
assistant coach.
Okay, so the previous head coach approached and say, hey, you want to join? Be part of the
like always, right?
It always starts like this, right?
Right.
And then you can just forget the rest already. So it's about so she asked me to whether I was interested to join, and I think we all had different strengths that we could bring into the team, and she was also an ex-national player. We understood, or we have experienced and have gone through what we did for those 10 plus years as a national team player and even club players. So we had a different approach towards how we wanted to manage the team, and we were all on the same page. In that sense. So I started out like this.
You guys or ladies went up to New Zealand for the qualifiers, right?
In January. Is it January or February 2017?
Right. How was that experience like? I mean, first, your probably your first stint as a assistant coach for the national team, going up to New Zealand. How was that?
It felt familiar, yet not familiar, because you're on the bench, but you don't have your gear on, and you're not ready to run in and sub anyone out. So it's about really standing by the sidelines and trying to encourage the players, helping them understand certain plays, or like giving them some advice along the way. So that was the strangely it was familiar yet not familiar kind of feeling in an international setting. Right. Because we all sing the national anthem. Right. We're all there for our country, whether it's as a player or as an official. The feeling is the same.
But listen, the stakes are different, right? As a player, you just think. Obviously, you got your teammates. You talk about being together, teamwork. You think about your teammates. But in a selfish kind of way, you're thinking about your own individual performance. That kind of thing. But as a coach, the stakes are a little bit different, right? You're not only thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the whole
20 players.
20 players and everything else, every single thing else, right?
So it's the decisions that you make is a do or die kind of situation.
Right.
Right. You make this decision. You have to live with this decision, regardless the outcome of it. So that is really the one of the many things that weighs heavily on you. That if you made a decision and the outcome was positive, well, yes, that's great.
You're the best coach, right?
Yeah, right. Why not, right?
Yeah.
But if the decision you make has a negative impact or the outcome is not what you expected, then as a coach, you really have to bear these consequences of like whether is it a game that you lost in the last second, or is it you drew a game in the last whistle or something. So it's something that we have to accept.
Now after all this while, right, what do you rather be, a coach or a player?
I think I'd rather be a player, although I think physically I cannot do that anymore.
Yeah, of course, but thinking back, right, you'd rather be a player?
Yes, I think I would. Because I would just have to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I have less responsibilities, but my responsibilities as a player are definitely different as what a coach would have to bear.
Right.
Because there's just too many things for a coach to do.
Right.
But as a player, go, get it done, go and recover, make sure you eat properly, be disciplined, then it's easier to digest.
Easier to control as well.
Yes, that's right.
Now let me guess, you got the national team job when someone said, "Hey, why not be the, just be the national team coach." How did that happen?
So the head coach decided to focus on playing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just decided to take over. Because we only started out like those less than a year, and then we had an objective of managing the team the way we wanted to manage.
Okay.
And I felt that it's too soon to say bye-bye because I just started.
Yeah.
So I decided to just continue, even though the roles have changed.
Yeah.
In that sense.
So she played under you after that, as in the national team. Yeah. Right. And when she was the head coach, was she playing as well?
At that point in time, yes.
Yes. Okay.
But when she was playing, the rest of us, we took on her role as the head coach. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you became the national team coach, right? What were your personal goals, if there was any? Like your own personal goal.
Okay. So having gone through and being a national player for so many years.
Yeah.
There are many things that I learned along the way as a player and having observed past coaches. So I decided to adopt the best practices that I have observed, and one of the objectives I really wanted to achieve was to really make the team a very cohesive unit.
Weren't they already cohesive?
Sorry?
Weren't they already cohesive when you took over?
Can be better, for sure.
Okay.
Because cohesion, or how do you say, good relations with players or players amongst players, right? It helps them through dire, really tough situations. And that's where you see the true character of the team.
Right.
So I really wanted to build a cohesive team, a cohesive unit with some character.
Right.
That regardless whatever they face, they will be able to pull through it together as one.
Yeah.
Instead of pinpointing.
Yeah.
Or those other things that we want to avoid.
How about, did you spell it out to them in terms of a team goal? Okay, in 2019 we want to retain the SEA Games, specific goals written down together with the team. Was there any specific goals?
I can't say there was, because we were really focusing on the process of it all.
Okay.
And 2019 was really a very busy year for us. We had quite a few competitions that they played and we went for, and it's really about improving after each competition that we had. So we were focusing on that aspect. Whether is it in terms of the physical training, or is it tactical training, or the way that, hey, I've recorded the trainings, can you please go and watch it, and then we have couple of classroom sessions on personal goal setting, rather than having it as a team goal. So we were pretty much focusing on the whole entire process because I guess it's a personal thing that if you really focus on what you want to do to achieve at the end, the results will come eventually. So we weren't very focused on the results.
Yeah.
Like we knew that we had to make it to the finals of SEA Games.
Okay.
For sure.
Right.
But at World Champs, because it was really back to back, like the turnover is 24 hours before we swap our luggage and then went to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Right? So the girls themselves, they set the target for World Champs.
Okay.
And I told them, you don't have to tell me what your goals are as a team.
Yeah.
So the captains got together and then they decided that they wanted to achieve this.
Alright. Do you know then?
I didn't know until they achieved it.
So which was what?
They wanted to top the group.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, you top the group, you make it into you already would have been top 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was their goal, which I told them to, they decided among themselves.
Was it written down? This is interesting. Did they like?
I don't know.
Yeah?
I really don't know. But I told them that you need to come up with a goal.
Yeah.
All of you.
Right.
But don't tell me what it is.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And then I only found out when they achieved it.
Nice. Now you are pretty big on more than the technical aspects of the game, the tactical aspects of the game, from what I've heard, right, and heard from you and heard from people as well, right? You're more into team bonding, unity, teamwork, etc., the other aspects, because I think come the national team level, technically they've got to be at a certain level, right? It's the afters, the man management or whatever you want to call it, right? Explain a little bit about your philosophy, if you haven't already done so. This is a big thing, right? What's your philosophy in coaching, right? You Sport SG, right? So what is, in your own words, your philosophy in coaching?
Trust the process.
Yeah.
Right, for sure. We need to trust what we are doing.
Okay.
Trust that it's for the betterment of the team,
right,
and not just for yourself.
Right.
And of course, it's to develop holistic players. To be more than just players on court, but people that we can rely on off court as well. I can just go to training and call you my friend rather than just a teammate. Yeah. So that is pretty much what the gist of the coaching philosophy is really about, because coaching players who are already at that level, you have that certain skill set, right? We come together to be more technically sound together, right? But we also need to remember that we are together for 4 times a week, and then when you go for competitions, it's 10 days at a stretch. So it's about building good relations with your teammates,
right,
and understanding them better as people, rather than as players.
And I think with a thing like that, it probably translates into matches as well. You know, you can see them. If someone's down, you got to pick them up. If you're losing, what do? You know, those kind of things. And I'm sure you've seen it, right? Happening on the pitch itself. That whatever training that you've gone through in terms of team bonding and stuff translate into the game.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
For sure. Whether it's it on the bench or pre-game, post-game,
right,
you can see that everyone is there for each other. Through the ups and the downs. So it is really heartening to see that that they have, become more than just teammates.
With a philosophy like that, I'm sure you all are still friends now. Yeah, you all you do get together sometimes, just talk to each other.
Now very hard together lah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but you guys are, or the ladies are still, together. Good.
Yeah. So sometimes when I scroll through Instagram stories and I just make fun of them,
right.
Cheat day, is it?
I want to ask you this question about you when you took charge as the head coach of the team, and what changes did you make exactly, like from when you were assistant coach and you became a head coach? Any specific changes that you made, probably that made or improved the team a little bit?
I wanted every player to be accountable for what they, to be an accountable player in the team. So whether it's it that we got them to have different roles in the team, rotation of duties, managing this and that, and especially when you travel overseas, you all have different kind of duties. So it's making players accountable and making them realize that coming for training it's not just coming for training. You are in a team.
Yeah.
Right? You have some stake, you have some ownership to be part of this team.
Okay.
So in that sense, I had to do that, I did that, and plan for off-court activities.
Okay.
Because sometimes training floorball all day, every day, almost every day,
Yeah.
it can be monotonous.
Right.
A little bit dull. So we do have some other kinds of activities that we
Okay.
have, like instead of just playing for floorball for the day, maybe
Yeah.
we're playing other sports.
Right.
Right, to get, I mean, it's still improving your fitness,
Yeah.
but it's just getting you out of the zone for
Yeah,
a while
yeah.
to refresh,
Right.
or sometimes can just mean giving them a little bit more breaks,
Right.
to allow them to recover or to regather their thoughts or something.
Right.
Yeah.
How was it like, when you went over for the SEA Games and retaining the title, the SEA Games title, and before that you won the Confederations Cup, right, in 2018. Okay,
Yep.
probably your first as the head coach, the first win. Okay, let's talk about that first. How was that? Winning a title, your very first as the head coach of the national team. How was that like?
Surreal,
Yeah.
really. Plus it was in Singapore, home ground. And yeah, it really felt like, okay, we're on to something big. And we knew Thailand were our biggest competitors, and we knew that they were really going to be tough opponents, as they have always been, right? So having the home crowd behind you and just playing in front of everyone, your family, your friends, it helped boost the morale of the players.
Yeah.
It helps build the confidence to know that, now it's not only my teammates or my coaches who are there, my family, my friends are also there supporting me with the rah-rahing everything.
Right.
So it was a very surreal kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But yet, there was more to come.
Yeah.
Because the tournament was just a smaller tournament.
Right.
Yeah, with different teams.
Yeah.
And the bigger crunch came when we had to go for the other major tournaments, like
Yeah.
for the qualifiers, SEA
Right,
Games, and so on.
SEA Games, retaining it, right? Was there pressure?
Of course there's pressure
to
to retain. I
Yeah.
mean, I've had people come up to me and say, hey, SEA Games gold lah. Remember SEA Games gold? Then I'm like, sure, okay,
Yeah.
I do what I can,
Right.
but it's not really entirely up to me, right? It's
Yeah.
really on the players.
Yeah.
So I made sure that pressure never went down to the players.
Okay.
For example, if someone comes and tell me, hey, don't forget SEA Games gold lah.
Yeah.
I made sure that it stayed with me, and it was not translated to the players during training.
Okay.
Like, hey guys, I wouldn't say this to them like, hey guys, people are saying,
Yeah.
getting us to try to retain.
So you didn't ever say that?
No.
Not even a bit.
No, because I think they themselves knew
Right.
what to expect. They
Okay.
didn't need the added pressure.
Okay.
So and especially for those who played in the previous SEA Games,
Yeah.
they knew the stakes are high because they were there, the gold medal. Now it's, okay, we do have to win this,
Yeah.
but that is their own, internal
Right.
realization of how they handle that expectations and pressure.
Right.
I really didn't think that they needed extra pressure on them to retain the gold medal.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a very interesting thing, you just said, because some coaches could have or would have reacted differently, like use that to to tell the players, hey, the people out there are wanting a goal and stuff like that. We got to prove it, or you got to prove them right, and what have you, right? So different coaches have different methods, and I think you proved that need not be the way, right? It could be the other way around, trying to fan the pressure off them. So that's a very good thing as well. So, the short turnover, right? Is what, one day?
We actually finished SEA Games before it actually really started.
Okay.
Yeah, so like the day after opening ceremony, right, we played our finals.
Yeah.
The next day, I think we flew back.
Yeah.
The following day, we flew out
To
Switzerland.
Yeah.
So
And
the turnover is like.
and
3
how
hours.
soon was the first game when you reached there?
So the International Federation, they knew that Thailand and Singapore were playing SEA
Okay.
Games, so they gave us an extra day break.
Okay.
So instead of playing on day 1,
Right.
We play on day 2.
Okay.
But that meant that your group matches, because you had to play 3 teams.
Right.
It meant your group matches has to be back to back with no rest day in between.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the other side of the
So
coin that we had to
so you
review.
touched down. How long after that was your first game again?
I think 2-3 days.
2-3 days. That's like not enough time for adaptation, acclimatization, right?
Yes, because the weather was
Yes,
cold
right.
and yeah, so I think we had at least 3 days. Minimally, we had 3 days to acclimatize to the
Yeah,
weather.
yeah.
We had managed to squeeze in a couple of training sessions.
Who were your opponents?
We played Thailand, US, and Australia
Okay.
for our group game.
Right.
Right, so in that order lah.
Right.
Thailand, alamak, we just faced you all last
Yeah.
year, you know.
Right.
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 And then US, and then Australia. So yeah, we played Thailand,
Yeah.
and then we were trailing,
Yeah.
and then we fought back.
Right.
Right, and then same goes for the other 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were training in all 3 games.
Yes.
Wow.
I think so. If I remember correctly.
But it's not how you start the game, right? It's how you
Yep.
ended the game.
Yes.
It's absolutely brilliant. So and then after the 3 games, what happened is like you already gotten or clinched the top spot, and then
We had to play the next round, so
Okay.
we had to play the second from another group.
right.
Yes, we had
Yeah.
to play a second from another group, so on and so forth. So, we played Germany.
Right.
And we lost to them in the last, like,
Yeah.
10 seconds of the game.
Okay. That's heartbreaking, man.
Yes,
Very.
it was quite hard, very, very heartbreaking because if we had beaten Germany, we would have been top 8 and
Right.
faced Sweden. So that is another problem altogether.
Right. Take one step at a time.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
We took one step at a time, and it was just very unfortunate that we lost in the last 10
Right.
seconds because we
Right.
were tied at 7-7, I think. I can't remember.
Right.
And then we had to play again the next day.
Mm.
So the girls, they played 6 games in a row
Right.
from day 1
Yeah.
that they played against Thailand, and they had no rest
Okay.
until the final game 6
Yeah.
days later.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know, to be honest, up to date, I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
With their legs probably going to
Right.
be like,
Yeah.
cannot feel their legs anymore.
Yeah.
So that it's sort of our training and physical training sessions and recovery leading up to that really helped a lot.
Right.
And we had to make sure that after each game they had to ice
Yeah.
cold bath,
Right.
cold bath or hot cold bath.
Yeah.
Whether it works for them or not, apparently it did. But I guess it really had to do all in the mind. It was all in the mind.
And it's also about you talk about the players and the coach, of course, but there are the team behind the team as well. You talk about the physios and all of these guys and the sports trainers and stuff like that. They play a very, very important role in a team going out, especially for away tournaments, right? They are like very important. They are working when the players are resting,
Yep.
right? Preparing when the players are resting, watching TV in the hotel room. So you got to have a shout out to them as well. They did a pretty good job,
Yeah, it's basically working non-stop. We're all
Yeah.
almost working non-stop. Whether is it to ensure that meals are on time,
Yeah.
the transport is
Yeah.
there on time, preparing for the next game, having post-game feedback, physios, helping massage. So sometimes when the massage queue is too long, I will help ease some of the muscle aches.
Right.
Sometimes. So we are really overdrive.
Yeah.
Working on and then usually during tournaments we don't sleep a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, just looking back, right, the 2 tournaments that you won as the head coach, the Confederations and the SEA Games, and of course the 12th placing. Just looking back, how do you think that you did? Your overall thoughts on what happened. You somehow over a short space of time, because you didn't. I don't think you had enough time to think about it, right? It was all surreal. It happened one after another. So, but after looking back right now, just looking back and reminiscing those times, how do you think it went?
Of course it went pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't see the end result as something that I need to achieve. It's really about, okay, so all the hard work and the hard work that we put in really, really paid off, and it was really all worth it because we spent so much time with the pre-com preparations according to our plans, and it's really the coaching team and I, we really put in a lot of effort, a lot of heart into what we do, not just about managing the team itself, as in terms of play and the rest and recovery, but also building a good relationship with them, understanding them better as players, being more empathetic towards certain situations that they may face. So for us, for me, it's really, it's looking back, it's like, wow, okay, we actually did this, a bit unbelievable because it's, like you said, a short span of time. But if I think a little bit before that, it's really how much work we put in to achieve that. So that's why we trust the process.
Right. And it's a good thing you said that, because especially in wins and success, right? People forget about the work that went behind the scenes, and not only like just for that particular match, it's for the whole season and months and years before that. So that's a good thing that we gotta think about that as well. You left a month after that, after clinching the 12th spot. Was it a month or
end of 2019?
Yeah, so good. Yeah,
about month.
A month. Why?
I felt that, I felt that I had done what I could have done.
Okay.
In the sense where I think I've achieved enough with the team.
Yeah.
Over the 2 years, and working and coaching at the same time is just not funny at all. It's really
it's not a joke. It's not a joke at all.
No, it's not a joke at all.
Right.
And
you were working at that time.
I was working at Nanyang Poly.
Right, as a lecturer.
As a lecturer.
Okay.
So we all know that lecturers don't really have free days.
Yeah.
Right. So, and with that work plus trainings on weeknights and sometimes on weekends, and going overseas for games.
No life.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So it's really, it was quite tiring.
Yeah.
In that sense.
But was it difficult leaving the job? Not in terms of the physical part, but thinking about the achievements and stuff like that.
It was at the start, like, oh man, I worked so hard for this.
Yeah.
Or the team and I, we worked really hard for where we got in those 3 years.
Yeah.
But I just had to emotionally detach myself from this, that I already have completed that year with whatever we have achieved. And that's it. I had to have like a clean break.
Right.
The emotional detachment from that. Like, okay, I've done what I did for that few years. It was good. Definitely one for the memories, but it's time to say bye-bye and move on.
It's not a bad way to leave on a high, right? It's not a bad way to live. It's a wonderful time to live, actually, right? If you think about that in that way. You made history, Louise, right? The only woman to win the Coach of the Year award at the Singapore Sports Awards. It's amazing. It's an amazing stat if you think about it, because I think it started in 1970, right? It's amazing if you think about that. How did it feel like? When you got the award, did you? Again, another surreal feeling, I must say.
It definitely was, because I was up against all the other other fantastic coaches who have great athletes. Yeah. I really wasn't expecting to win, though I really wanted my team to win Team of the Year.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Thankfully.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really expecting anything, because I thought to myself that I did what I did as a coach. I just did my role. I completed my task.
Yeah.
Fulfilled my responsibilities as a coach, and to me that was enough.
Right.
And the team having won whatever they did in 2019 was enough reward for me.
Right.
So that's why when they called my name, I was like, okay. Surreal, like, huh, really? Are you serious? I really was. I didn't even know that I was the first female to win until someone told me, and I was like, huh? Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You made history, man. Your name is on the board, on the plug, or whatever it is called, So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's an amazing award, and I've got someone who said this, right? Someone who said this about you. Louise wins with pride and loses with dignity. When we suffered a loss against Thailand for our World Cup qualifiers in Bangkok, it was bitter, but if the players had performed at their very best, there's no point in pulling long faces for extended period of time. Soaking the loss, shake things up, get better for the next day. And this is what you said, apparently, right, in inverted commas, right? After all, there are more things in life than floorball.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there is more. That's amazing, right? When you talk about the whatever that's happening around the world, and there's more important things than that. But whatever we set out to do,
Yep.
we got to do it to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, that's right. So really, there's more to life than just floorball. Like
Yeah.
if let's say it's your family member's birthday, please go and celebrate. Just let me know beforehand, and or you have exams to study the next day. Yeah, you can take the time off, go and study. But the next training is you just come. So it's about understanding the players for who they are and what they do, so that it helps them manage their time better,
Right.
with their family, having times with because even as players themselves, they spend so much time training that they too make a lot of sacrifices in terms of times with family, social time with friends. So it is okay for them to just pop out once in a while, where appropriate, to have this alone time with their friends and family.
Right. And you just spoke about sacrifices, right? What were the main sacrifices that you had to make as the national coach?
Other than sleep?
Yeah, other than sleep.
I guess it's having me time to do things that I would have probably done on my weeknights that I have training. So whenever I have like a free time when I was still coaching, right, I'll just Netflix. And sometimes after training, we finish at 10-ish. We get home at 11, and all you just want to do is just switch on the telly and just like stone in front of the TV for a while. But by the time you realize it's 1 a.m. and you have to go to work the next day. So it's about having this time to myself, or spending time with my own friends and my family, even though we still have weekend dinners and stuff. So it's that kind of sacrifice.
Right. And by the way, those words just now were said by Yati, who worked with you for some time. So she said those things about you. You are obviously at SSI now, but where do you go from here? Like let's say 5 years down the road, if an offer was to come to coach the national team again, would that be a good offer? If you are paid for it?
At the end of the day, it's really not about the money. It's about whether I am able to commit my time to coach and give everything that I have, like I did previously, with the support from family, friends, and at work. That is really what I would need to consider, that I need to fully commit myself to this, rather than just thinking about finally I'm paid. That has never really crossed my mind at all.
Well, that's the national team job, right? But if just thinking ahead, do you think you'll be at the Sport SG for a long time, or because in terms of the curriculum and stuff, building up stuff like there, or where do you intend to coach further later on?
Maybe do some, I don't know, recreational coaching maybe, but I think that coaching stint I did really pulled out all the energy from me. So I'm still recovering.
It's very, very interesting you said that. I think a lot of it is downplayed a lot. We talk about coaches and it's more amazing to actually look at coaches who've stayed in the game, whatever sport, right, for the longest of time. And you're thinking, like, how the hell do they actually do it, right? Week in, week out, year in, year out, every single day of their lives, they're coaching, and especially if they're at the elite level, right? You got to take your hats off to them. It's amazing how they do it. The pressure, it eats away at you, but it has got to do with your lifestyle and stuff. So all the more amazing, right? And you got to respect your decision, obviously, when you stepped away, because I think, like I said, not a bad way to step away, right? Now, lastly, like, any advice for coaches out there who are learning the trade, starting out, not only in floorball and any other sport?
I would really advise them to put heart into what they do, right? Although money could come into play because it's your income, but if you really put your heart into it, you will know that at the end of the day, the rewards that you receive is so much more than just what you you have physically,
Yeah.
tangibly.
Right.
So it's putting heart into what you do, and like what you said earlier, I have mad respect for all those coaches who do this full time at the highest levels, or they coach multiple teams across the different institutions and different divisions, right? I feel tired just thinking about it. So I really don't know how they do it, and yet they still show the passion
Right.
for the sport
Yeah.
and for coaching the players.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really wow, hats off to them.
And what do you hope to see for floorball in Singapore?
Well, in 2023, we are hosting the Women's World Champs, so it's back here again after 18 years.
Right.
Floorball, well, there are already players. You know, there's so many players coming in. I just hope to see, more success at the international levels, because we have already shown what we can do. Even for the men's team, we have shown what we can achieve at even the highest level, despite being a tiny nation.
Yeah.
With with what we have. So it's really achieving
Right.
greater success at a higher level, but everybody's measurement of success is different.
Right. Right.
So we have to be able to manage our expectations
Right.
correctly, and players change. I mean, the team composition changes over time. So that's something that we have to really remember as well.
Right.
That players don't stay there for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? So it changes in that sense, but yet at the same time, hopefully we can achieve a certain level of success.
Yeah.
Globally.
Louise, thank you so much for being on this latest episode of the Silverfox Hustle podcast. You've been, very interesting story. Right from the start. Talking about how you started off at 17, late as a floorball player, and then being on the national team at 18, and then obviously your journey becoming the assistant coach and the coach. And again, I have to say this, it's my opinion. I still can't wrap my head around that volunteer thing, even as a national coach. But yeah, kudos to you. Thank you so much for being here. You've been an inspiration, and for future coaches as well for the floorball team and the association. So thank you so much again, Louise.
Thank you, Shasi.
This has been the latest episode of the Silverfox Hustle podcast. Now at the end, please do not forget to click on the follow and subscribe button. We're on YouTube as well. Now, till the next episode of the Silverfox Hustle podcast, the hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Cheers. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much.